All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Pete Steinberg. Make him feel welcome.
Man, I'll tell you, I'm going to do a show here. We're going to do twice what you paid for this thing. And, did you hear about that dyslexic devil worshiper? Sold his soul to Santa. Well, I'll do a couple of tunes, and I'm gonna do, I think, a little bit of a Christmas story for you a little bit after this, and I think what kid doesn't like a Christmas story, right? Any kids out there? All right, good, yeah. All right, then cool your heels, all right? Do what your parents say. See, the world don't know you nothing. Okay. And in honor of this song, I wore my deer hunting shirt. Yeah. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm a vegan. I don't eat the filthy things. I just shoot them out of my car window, you know. So, yeah. So, I got a little salt lick up in Topanga there. If you want to come with me, I got the 243 Winchester. Say they were at the 6-pack. You know, we just sit in the car and shoot deer. They come right up to you. Anybody can do it. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay. Christmas comes this time each year. Went out Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. He had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. Well, all of the other reindeer, they used to laugh and call him names. Big mistake. They would never let poor Rudolph play in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, "Oh, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, oh, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?" Oh, then how the reindeer loved him, but they found it was too late, because they teased poor Rudolph. His reindeer heart was filled with hate. And that takes us to sort of a little bit of the real story about Rudolph. The rest of it, there's a lot more, a lot more. Well, I think people don't know much about Rudolph, but I'll tell you, I've done a little research, and I found out that everybody didn't love Rudolph. Evidently, his mom didn't, because he was abandoned as a calf out on the tundra. He hung out on the bad side of the tundra, ran with a rough crowd. All right, and he grew up a little faster than he should have, and he cut deals with wolves, you know, like about how to get babies and the aged and the wounded and stuff like that. Looked out for himself, really. It was Santa's wife who picked him up at a deer shelter, one of those little reindeer shelters, because of his red nose. He looked so cute, you know. Anyway, when he got over there, things didn't work out so good over there. Like, none of the other reindeer liked him. They didn't want to play with him, and things always kind of went wrong when Rudolph was around. Things went missing, you know, stuff wasn't working so good. Eventually, one of the owls that was really complaining about a theft there wound up actually gored about 3 miles out from the shop. And the reindeer's antlers, you know, his antlers didn't match the hole, and his alibi was airtight. So, you know, and actually the cops, when they questioned him, they started to like him, you know. They were getting him coffee, and they were joking with him. He was cool as a cucumber. So, you know, if I can help the officers, you know, I always like to help the police. Well, anyway, as things went on, of course, he was, you know, there was an investigation going around. He was pretty much at the center of it. Probably would have been indicted. But for this one Christmas Eve, Santa was in a jam, man. He was losing money to the Indians, the Japanese. Everybody was cutting into his trade. Wasn't good. Here it is, Christmas Eve, and time to go. All of a sudden, what's he got but a whiteout, a polar whiteout? Don't know if you've ever seen one of these things, but they are bad. You're lucky if you can see 10 yards in front of you. So he comes to Rudolph and he says, "Look, I know we've had our differences. I know things haven't always gone right, but hey, figure it this way. You owe me. I got you out of the pen, right? You know? You would have been like a roast on some Norwegian's table. You would have been a deer hide on his Volvo seat." And Rudolph says, like, look, let me see if I understand this right, Santa. Here's the way she goes, Nick. It's like you won't have me over for dinner. I don't get to play reindeer games. You keep me in a stall that I can throw the cat through the back wall of. I get, hind titty on everything, crappy hay. Nobody likes me, And that's all right. That's nothing to me. But you did bail me out of the pen, I got to say. So I'll tell you, I'm going to help you out. But you're going to have to do something for me. Well, anyway, he became a full partner with Santa, and he unionized the reindeer. He had a pension plan, a medical plan, all that kind of stuff. And he did. He did what he said he'd do. He got him through that night. And he was lucky to get out with his life. And that fall, of course, Santa didn't have a radio because you can't make one in a 19th century shop filled with, like, wooden stuff and ribbons and crap. You can't make a radio. And usually they let Santa through, but here he was, just a radar signal on a sign when he penetrated that North American air defense boundary. Boy, they didn't like it. They sent out the interceptors and their Skybolt missiles and stuff, and Rudolph had to think pretty fast on his feet to get through that thing. What he did is he cut two of the burning reindeer and Prancer loose, and he used them as decoys. Tough break, Prancer. Looks like you'll be taking the heat. So long, suckers. But he got out, and the way he told it, there could have been 9 dead reindeer or 3. That's the way it was going to be. There weren't going to be none. So they got out. They made it all right. Got through there, and he opened a window for them, escaped, and they got their toys delivered. But when they got back, all the reindeers loved him. But, he said, hey, let's not be hypocrites. Come on, man. Let's not do that. So things didn't go well for Santa. He started going under. He needed more money, and the reindeer found that their union wasn't so good. Their wages were cut for union dues, and what they owed for health insurance was a lot more than what they told they were going to need, and they had to borrow out of their pension fund, and pretty soon they had to sell themselves for medical experiments and stuff like that. And of course, that was for hospitals that were owned by the same medical plan that Rudolph had set up. And Rudolph was interviewed some years later because Santa was forced into receivership. And Rudolph, when the elves went on strike, he just said, look, I don't need elves. I'm moving this to Indonesia. Kids there will be glad to work 12 hours a day just for a couple of potatoes and to sleep indoors. Who needs reindeer? Who needs elves? So when last he left, there was Santa he saw in Fairbanks, Alaska, sleeping on a piece of cardboard in an alley with an old carpet over him. And Rudolph went up there and he says, hey, Nick, you don't look so good. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to help you out one more time. I'm going to give you $100 here. Here's a C-note. And I bought you a taxi cab. You're going to need it. And I want you to go find a good flop, get yourself cleaned up, get some clean clothes on, get back here, and I'll be your first fare. You can drive me to the airport. Then he kind of chuckled and shook his head and said, man, the great Santa, look at that. A broken down rummy scumbag sleeping in his hack. Who'd have thought? Well, anyway, he went to Indonesia, and he just sort of, he explained that he had nothing against Santa or the elves, They hadn't done anything to him. They didn't have to like him, But he said, well, things just went the way they did. They signed this stupid pension plan, this dumb medical thing. Said I wouldn't have done it, but they did. But in my book, a sucker has no business with money. So, I didn't put the roaches in the slums or anything. I just live in the world, pal. I didn't make it. And it's too bad that's the way it is, but that is the way it is. It's a gem, so. There you are.